Aloha friends. In this video, I'd love to show you some good reasons to grow a home food forest garden. This is Tutu at Aloha Food Forest, and I was just looking at a little flexible pipe that comes from our rain gutter in the front yard and flows out here into this little miniature river that has it conducts water all the way down the garden, and it's really beautiful out here in the garden. We have seen a lot of dragon clouds in the sky today. Hopefully we'll see some more. There's one that kind of looks like a big old prehistoric bird. But it's beautiful out here, and I wanted to share with you some of the principles that make the food forest such a wonderful home for wildlife. And one of the first things is to consider that underground and above ground reflect each other. Just like an old tree has roots, there's an underground section of roots. So it's just like the as above, so below principle. As above, so below. Let's see, underneath the grass, look at that, a little world of roots. There it is. So that is a good way of looking at as above, so below in the material structure of the plant. And also, if we look down in this hole, we'll find a little community. Oh, look, there. I don't want to bug in too much, but is a worm. Where is he? Let me find my finger. There he is. And he's part of a community with fungi and all kinds of family and friends. I'm going to cover him back up and let him go about his business. But there is a world underneath the soil. Under our feet is a whole other world that processes chemicals. Those are the fungi. They can clean soil. And of course, we all know there's worms that eat all kinds of variety of dead things that fall on the soil, and the bacteria, all the things that we barely know about because they're microscopic, but they're down there, and they live here underneath this layer of organic mulch, which is leaves and wood chips from tree trimmings. And so that is one of the biggest parts of the food forest, is to remember the soil is alive, and we always treat it with respect. And that's why it's fun to plant seeds, because by throwing seeds around during a rain, you can distribute them and they get watered in, and you never have to disturb the soil, and up comes a plant. But trees are also fun to plant. So here's a bunch of stuff that mostly planted itself. And then, oh, this is an ice cream bean tree. That's really cool. Look at this big ice cream bean. This tree I bought from a nursery, and it's been a few years since I planted it in the soil. And I'm so happy that now it's very first time ever making an ice cream bean. And see, I put a little guild around it because it can get cold. Right here where this tree is, there's a breeze that runs down past it. So if it has some nice little friends in there to help block the breeze, it feels better. And it did have something else over here, but obviously that thing was an annual, so I'm talking about this one here. I think that's a radish. But see, these are lavender, and this is succulent. This is elephant food, which is actually edible, and I've always enjoyed it since I was a little girl. It's kind of sourish and a little juicy, so it's really nice. And lavender, you can break off a piece of lavender and root it. And very often, when it gets older, it's going to try to root itself into the ground. See? So this is a good place to look at, like planting this piece right here. I'll snap it off. See, now this one, it already looks like it's trying to root. So see how that would be a fun one to try to root? So that's what you can do. You can stick this in another piece of good soil. Like I could just put it right over here. Wow, that is really wet from the rain, which is perfect. Perfect time for planting. And then I'll push the soil back on it. I hope I'm getting all of that. And so with this rainy season, it won't dry out, which is very important. So that's a good time to transplant things when it's rainy. And it's a good time to plant seeds too. So, okay. So yes, as above, so below. So we're taking care of our soil. Infinite abundance. You see inside of this ice cream bean is seeds, a bunch of seeds for a new ice cream bean tree. And you see the fractal patterns of the leaves and the flowers. See, everything's in a fractal pattern. So that means one little bit makes a whole bunch more of itself. Like one little stem of this makes a whole bunch more flowers. And these flowers are going to look like this. Yes. And then that's when they're getting bigger and they will make more ice cream beans. So just think, if all of these beans have seeds for more trees, think how many trees you could grow from one tree. So that is the whole principle of infinite abundance. And then the oak tree above is also an amazing example of infinite abundance. She has been here for over 100 years. Why am I not tuning in here? There we go. She's over 100 years old. She makes acorns and more trees. And again, you could probably take cuttings of this, especially if it was already growing near the ground. But even so, you can get more from the one. So it's infinite abundance. And you see it in patterns all over the place. These are radish flowers, these purple flowers here. Let's see. These are wild radish flowers. So they come by seed and they plant themselves, and see what a nice companion plant they make. They're pretty tall and they absorb a lot of water. So if we get a lot of water, they get taller. And if we don't get as much water, they won't get as tall. But they're a nice companion plant for the cool. Actually, who should have those is these poor bare naked bananas. Yeah, I think because we have the hose here, we've been keeping this down. But look, they almost look naked. They could use a little help. But these nasturtiums are coming along to offer help. So, and then, yeah, so actually I should have some green onions right in here. That'd be perfect. Okay. Or garlic. or a nice potato patch. Yeah, potato patch would be fun. Okay, so yes. So as above, so below, infinite abundance. The fungi underground are able to break down our man-made materials. Isn't that amazing? So that is another reason why we cover the soil with mulch, is to protect the fungi kingdom. That's huge. We have the fungi, which is the funguses or the mushrooms. When we see them pop up, they're mushrooms. And they live underground and they interconnect with the roots of plants and all kind, of the trees and the plants, and they form this internet of sharing water and sunlight energy and information underground. So this is another reason why it's very important to remember, as above, so below. There's a community of life down in the ground. And that is what really Food Forest supports. We support the underground life. So that's a very big principle. And then another nice thing about a food forest is we can get our wood from the food forest and then return our ashes back into the food forest. And we don't even have to cut down trees necessarily. We get branches that fall down, and then yeah, so it's really great for humans and our bodily waste. Did you know this? This is true. You can look it up. Human urine has the highest NPK fertilizer values, or very high, not the highest. I'm sure they can generate a higher one, but basically, let's say it this way. Most plants like NPK, which is nitrogen, potassium, and phosphorus. And I think that's right. But anyway, that's the NPKs what you see on fertilizers. Well, our urine has that too. And so by peeing on our plants, we are fertilizing them, which is amazing, especially when we're eating from the garden. So we eat the garden food, we pee it out. Our poop is even good if we can figure out nice ways to, I think I'm gonna look into that also. It's like doing a little pooping station or something. But anyway, I haven't really thought about that a lot yet, but I think that would be fun. And then, yeah, so here's a lot of wild stuff that's growing out here in the food forest. The chard that you see ahead there, that dark red, that is part of a long line of what you call naturalized plants or volunteers. They volunteer out here in the garden. I don't have to plant them. So all I need to do is learn to recognize them, what they are. And I use my phone to identify almost everything I see. And that helps me to know a lot of characteristics about it, which I love that. George Washington Carver used to, he said he wanted to know everything about every rock, plant, and animal, and everything around him, and there was no one to tell him. So I think we are so blessed now that we have our online AI that helps us identify things, because we used to have to write it in books and try to draw pictures. But now you can come up with your phone or your iPad and just look at something like this. And this one, it might not be that easy to tell, but when it flowers, it would be even easier to tell. This is garlic. It looks like a grass, right? But I planted garlic cloves down in there, and now new garlics are growing. So I planted, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay? And now look how many are coming up, and there's going to be a lot more than 4, because each one of these little sets of leaves that comes up from a spiral, let's see, can you see this? Yeah, there it is. Comes right up from a spiral. This is a whole new plant, a whole new garlic clove. So the clove is the little parts of the garlic bulb, and the bulb is the whole thing with a whole bunch of cloves on it. So, and here's another one. So this one you can see more easily. There's one, there's one, there's one. Looks like another one coming off. I'm not even filming this right. Okay, there. See that? That one. See, and they kind of like cozying up with all this organic material that comes from the garden itself, or sometimes comes from a neighbor's garden. If they cut down a tree and they don't want the waste and they're looking for a place for it, we have room for it, we bring it in. So, and then this is the castor plant. Castor oil, like Edgar Cayce. And then this is fennel. Now these all grow here voluntarily. This fennel is good for colds and flu. This is Swiss chard. It's a very dark one because it's, I think a lot of times they get darker when they're in the full sun. But then here's like another little Swiss chard coming up, and a bunch of other different types of cute wild plants. So the food forest plants itself, that's part of the infinite abundance. Like that yucca tree, I didn't even plant that. So that's amazing. But then I also do plant things that I love. Like I put in that big fig tree back there, and another fig tree, and a bunch of these trees I added in because you can do that with a food forest. You get to co-create with it by adding what you like. And so it's very beautiful with its fractal expansion, the cooperativeness of the fungi with the flora and the fauna. And again, the flora are the plants, the fauna are the animals. So you think flora, think flowers. Fauna, think like fawn. So fauna are all the animal beings. And then fungi that live underground, those are part of the underground community. So I'll take you over here to this medicine wheel where we join with all kinds of spirit beings, the great creator, the elementals, and we speak peace and love and aloha all over the world. Aloha to you, aloha to me. We are all one. We are all one. This is so interesting. Robert Edward Grant just discovered that every one of us is a inverse of one. So like he was just saying in this podcast with Billy Carson, if you put 1 over the number, most of the time the number becomes infinite. So, but it turns out that something about that inverse ties us all together in oneness. Like we all know that. So we are all part of the one whole. And that's another thing that I love about the food forest is look at all the different kinds of plants that grow here together in harmony. And it's good to have all these kinds. Like these are nice. They grow pecans and we get to harvest them every fall. And then in the wintertime when they lose their leaves, they let in sunlight. And then these are pine trees, which are full of wonderful pine cones for food and fire, and also we can use the mulch when it drops down if we need to for a place that's cold. And also it provides shelter from the wind and slows the rain. So each of these trees has their beautiful qualities. And as you get to know each individual one, then you get to co-create with them. And they co-create with you. And then it seems like such a nice, happy place. People end up being very happy here. I mean, all the biota. I'll show you some more flowers that these started just growing all over, different colors. And the calendula over there grows around. You can see it over here. So yes, this is the medicine wheel. It has, I'm standing in the south and that's the north. And then, so you can see that rock line. And then it's a circle and it has east over here and west over here. So it's a really fun little place to meditate. And so I like to come in here and just breathe aloha. Let aloha flow through my spirit. Love, unity. That doesn't mean we're all alike. It just means that we are enjoying each other's differences. So, sometimes at night we hear frogs. And so we welcome all the wildlife. I used to have a coyote in here before we built more fencing. And a coyote was one of my favorite animals. And I've been seeing a lot of people with pictures of coyotes lately. So, yeah, I learn a lot. And then the plants over there that are around the banana, I think they came to help the banana. And so, yeah, this is the beautiful food forest that teaches wisdom. And really, nature is our teacher. So, even if you don't learn from me, you can begin to learn from the nature all around you. Just observe it and study it, identify it, learn about it. Learn all the good things about it and things you might not like. And then you get to decide what to add into your food forest. And it's a wonderful co-creative effort between you and your friends and all the wildlife when we create our food forest home gardens. So I send you aloha and blessings, health and well-being. I love you. Aloha.